All right, we're going to start with these games basically in order. You know the deal. There are 2 on Saturday at 4:30 and 8. Then you have the triple header at 1, 4, and 8. And in case you forgot, there's a Monday Night Football game. I would make the case it's the best matchup of the weekend with the Rams and the Vikings. House, I'm starting with you on this one. Chargers going up against the Texan team that we have been out on for quite a while. However, for as brilliant a job as Jim Harbaugh has done with the Chargers, they are not a loaded roster. I know they've played really well defensively. At times, we have seen them struggle when they go up in weight class. And my read on this game is, I think they've been more impressive than the Texans this year. Yeah, I trust their coach more than I trust D'Amico Ryans. I see that line at 3, though. House, I can't get there. I think this line is completely out of whack and completely overvalued. The Chargers should not be laying 3 points on the road. I'm sorry. No way.
Well, what about 2.5? Because that's what I see at FanDuel Sportsbook. Does that change your mind at all?
Not really. No, I think this is a 1-1. I think this is a pick'em game. I
understand. And I get your point. And I think this is simply a reflection of the public sentiment, having observed Harbaugh arrive in this situation and do the thing that everybody forecasted he might do, that he's capable of. He put in institutional stability. He created a bottom-up kind of approach to a football team where the line play on both sides of the ball was crucial. They controlled their games and the games that they won by playing methodical, smart football. They didn't beat themselves. You know how many interceptions Justin Herbert threw this season? Either one of you guys?
I'm going to say 6.
Dream?
I'm going to say 8.
He had 3 interceptions this season. 23 touchdowns, 3 picks. So
that's what Harbaugh wants, man.
That's what Harbaugh
we'll take
wants.
The touchdowns coming down a little bit, but we're going to take care of the ball. We're going to maximize those possessions.
That's it. There you go. So the line to me is reflective of all of those sort of elements. And honestly, I'm not that surprised that it's there. I can't get there with Houston by virtue of the CJ Stroud regression. I mean, the guy, every team that they played that was decent, he threw an interception against. And something happened. His sack rate went through the roof. Their offensive line is much worse than it was last season. And they try to get Mixon going. They can't get him going. They are a first half team. Their second half numbers have them among the bottom 3 teams in the NFL. So I understand all of the reasons why the Chargers would be the preferred side, would be the public side. I think I'm probably going to lay off of this one because I do think that Houston defense is pretty damn good. And, if they can get some pressure, if they can get home against Herbert, then it's a pick 'em game, which is what you wanted in terms of the line, JJ. What do you think, Dream?
This is a very tough game to handicap. And, a lot of the trends, a lot of the models all say take the Houston Texans. I mean, look, this line should not be 3. And we all know that, but it's 2.5. But I mean, there's other factors going into this. The Chargers are actually playing their 3rd straight road game. And those teams who play those 3rd straight road games are 45-71 straight up, 39%, and 5-12 straight up over the last 3 seasons. And, the tough thing for me is that the Chargers, they're not an explosive offense. They're a team that's built off the run. Meanwhile, the Texans, they're 6th in rushing EPA per play. So they should be able to slow down the run. But then when I look at the other side of the ball, this Houston team is not very efficient. We've spoken at length, all of us, myself, Anthony DeMundo, about how this team is not good from a down-to-down perspective. Bobby Slowick continues to run the ball on early downs and put them in 3rd and long situations. So I think the way to play this is actually the under. You're looking at a total of 42.5, and at 42.5, I think this could be, a field goal game. I think you're looking at a 20-17 type game. So I don't want to bother with playing a side here, even though the value is on the Houston Texans, because I just think over the course of this game, Harbaugh is going to he's going to press the right buttons, and I think the Chargers probably end up winning, but I think the safe bet is the under here.
I think it's an under game as well. I think Jim Harbaugh is more than comfortable playing a field position, low-scoring kind of game. And that to me, is what the encouraging sign would be from a Houston perspective, House. Their defense still can ball out. Now, I know the Baltimore game on Christmas Day is in everybody's mind. That, to me, is kind of a throwaway. It was that short turnaround, the Christmas schedule. Then you throw in the fact that, hey, Baltimore's offense is really, really good and it is a tough matchup in a lot of different ways. I'm going to take that game and say, hey, the public is going to hold too much weight on it. I watched Houston's defense stymie Detroit and force Jared Goff into 5 interceptions going back midseason. I saw Derek Stingley absolutely embarrass Tyreek Hill in shutting him down and taking the football away from him. I think Houston, who's been better at home this year, I'm taking them in the game, guys. I don't love it. You're asking me for a play or sign the game. It's Houston a pass for me, but I'm with you, Raheem. The better play in this game. House, we're getting an under. This is going to be a gross game.
Yeah, the other aspect to this that I might put a tiny bit on is the Texans as a teaser leg, because the Chargers, by virtue of their identity, don't blow teams out. If you look at their wins, the teams that they won by margin are all horrendous teams. It's teams like the Browns and the Raiders and the Titans and, the Patriots. They beat all those teams, double-digit scores. Their wins against, better teams, the most in terms of margin, 7 points against the Broncos. And then they've lost to, a bunch of the playoff teams on here, lost to the Ravens, lost to the Buccaneers, lost to the Chiefs, obviously. Lost to the Cardinals, so lost to the Steelers. I think a teaser leg is not a terrible way of playing this.
I agree with that. And I think the thing that makes the teaser, more intriguing is the fact that the total is so low. And we've spoken at length about how we like the under. And if you look at Houston Texans games this year, they're a league leading 11-6 to the under. So if we're going to get a low scoring game and you can tease up from 2.5 to, 8.5, you cross out those key numbers, I think you're in a good position.
So I like the under. I lean with the Texans. I like teasing the Texans up. I think we have a bunch of different ways that we can get involved and have a little fun with this first game. Now, we transition from game number 1 to game number 2. And, Raheem, we saw this game about a month ago. The Pittsburgh Steelers went into Baltimore, and it was a Saturday late afternoon game, standalone special. The line was around 6. Now on FanDuel, the line is 9.5. There have been some 10s in the market, and nobody has been more skeptical of the Steelers than me. Baltimore has looked tremendous. However, we know Lamar Jackson in the postseason at times, it's been shaky. We know the Pittsburgh-Baltimore rivalry historically leads you to a whole lot of close games. I'll start with you on this one, Dream. 9.5 with the Ravens. Is it a fair line, or are we overvaluing Baltimore because of the Steelers' struggles as of late?
So my model actually makes this game Ravens -12. So when you're just looking from a math perspective, sure, this is the right price. And this got bet up from 7.5. You look at the last time these two teams played in week 16, the Ravens were laying 7.5. And it was the first time in which the last 8 games between the Ravens and the Steelers with Lamar Jackson, where the Ravens actually scored more than 20 points. Yes, you go back before that, 16 points, 10 points, 10 points, 13 points, 16 points, 13 points, 19 points, 14 points. So for whatever reason, Mike Tomlin and this Pittsburgh Steelers defense has found a way to slow down Lamar Jackson. And in this matchup, Zay Flowers could be absent, which could really hurt this offense. And I look at the other side of the ball. The thing that makes this tough is the fact that, Russell Wilson and that offense has just completely become garbage. And I don't know if they're going to be able to keep up. But the history between these two teams say that you take the Steelers. I mean, when you look at 21 division wildcard rematches, the underdog is 13-7-1. So you kind of want to back the underdog in this spot, but we know the Ravens are the superior team.
Yeah, this is crazy, and it's very hard to map out. I mean, in addition to what Dream just laid out there, these teams play 1-score games. They don't play 2-score games. And there's a bunch of math that you can find out there that talk about, what happens when division rivals get together for a third time. I mean, there's just incredibly rich history between these two coaches and these franchises that suggest a close game, suggest that nobody's going to win by margin. So I'm trying to find in kind of the derivative markets, where do I want to play this? One thing that I feel strongly about is Baltimore in the first half. Now, the number is 6.5, laying 6.5 when the spread is 9.5. Like, do I really want to do that? Not really. The money line is minus 350. The first half money line for Baltimore is minus 350. The money line for the game is minus 590. So maybe that's a leg that I put with some other money line plays, because there's some money line combinations out there that I want to play. And maybe I'll just do Ravens first half on the money line and put that together, have that parlayed with some other outcomes on the card. But I feel very hesitant about jumping in and laying a giant number like that, JJ.
This is a really, really tough game for me because I've been fading the Steelers quite a bit over the last few weeks. And now I'm in a position where I just feel like the number has gotten a little out of whack here. I know the math, and Raheem, you made the point, because of what Pittsburgh's offense has been, because of what Baltimore has been all year, and their defensive resurgence over the last few weeks. Your model puts this at around 12 points. I just see this as a one-score game. I do. Like, the Steelers, to me, in a game against Baltimore, this reeks of all the voodoo, all the magic, nail-biter, just because of the history between these two particular teams. I'd feel better about this house if I could grab double digits. I'm kind of waiting for a 10, which I kind of think we might get, Raheem. Are we going to get a 10 in this game? I think we might, dude.
I don't think we will. And the reason why is because I think this opened up 7.5, 8.5. And then once you put yourself on a key number, you put yourself in a position to get middle. So I think that's the only reason why we won't see a 10. See, I originally liked the under on this game. And I think that's correlated with the Pittsburgh cover.
100%. You like the under, I think you're on the Steelers. You got it.
Yeah. There's no way this game goes over and the Steelers cover. So I think that's how I'll be looking. But I thought House was going to play the greatest hits here. I thought he was going to go grab Derrick Henry anytime touchdown, because that seems correlated with a Baltimore Ravens win. And that's only minus 185 on FanDuel Sportsbook right now.
It's not too late. I mean, I'll see if the sportsbook will let me parlay Baltimore to win the first half with Derrick Henry anytime touchdown. I haven't had a chance to throw that combo together, but it sure does sound good to me.
And guys, I would be remiss if I don't mention the Steelers have not won a playoff game going all the way back to 2016. It is a long, long time coming for them. And how's to kind of enhance your first half Ravens bet? If you look at Pittsburgh in their last 5 playoff losses, they are getting absolutely blitzed at the beginning of these games. Now, last year it was against Josh Allen. 2 years ago it was against Patrick Mahomes. So maybe Lamar Jackson adds to that. So I'm with you with the idea of Baltimore getting off to a fast start here. But my thing with the Raven defense, and maybe I will be proven wrong in this game, I wonder if they have been taking advantage a little bit, House, of a softer part of the schedule that has kind of enhanced those defensive numbers the last few weeks. I might put a little stop. Maybe they'll shut me up if they do it to Buffalo and shut Buffalo down. But I do think there maybe could be something to be said for that.
There is an element to it, but I do think the way that it's come together against really quality teams, not necessarily offenses, but that to me, has some stickiness, Dream.
Yeah, I look, the Steelers were one of those teams that JJ considers soft. So I know they played the Giants, the Texans.
Well, I should refer. I want to correct that though, Raheem. I don't consider them soft. Mm-hmm. I just think they're fraudulent. Does that make sense?
No, but I'm just saying they were part of the schedule where they were a part of that group of team that was a soft part of the schedule.
Fair, offensively speaking, yes, that's true. Easier. Yeah. So when I look at a soft team, I never will put a Mike
the Steelers aren't soft
category.
Yeah,
but they have weaknesses, and I think those weaknesses have been absolutely positively exposed. Gut feel, House, I feel like you'll be parlaying Baltimore on the money line. I think you're going to end up taking the Steelers with the points.
Yeah, I think I'm just going to stay away from the spread, to be honest with you. If I had to play the spread, I would take the points with the Steelers, but I'm just going to put Baltimore in because what I really want is Lamar Jackson and Josh Allen to be going up against one another next week. So I'm just going to bet the outcome that I want. And I think there's plenty to support the idea of Baltimore, the superior team, especially at home.
Raheem, what's your gut feel on this game if you had to make a pick?
If I had to make a pick, I think Baltimore finally, gets over their playoff demons and just steps on this team. That's my feeling. And then, maybe, Tomlin gets a trade and, things change in Pittsburgh. But I think the best bet on the board right now, if you're just looking at NFL futures, and House gave this out a couple of weeks ago, but I still think it has value. I think the Baltimore Ravens are probably the best team in the AFC. Outside of the Chiefs, who I think are inevitable. So I think if you're looking for a future, I think you play the Baltimore Ravens plus 550. I think you play them to win the AFC as well. But I think if I had to make a pick for this game, I think the Ravens end up covering.
All right, gents, 3 games on Sunday. We start with the 1:00 kick. House, Denver, who has been a massive thorn in my side all year, maybe with the exception of that Cincinnati Saturday game. They screwed me yet again because I should have realized Kansas City wasn't even going to play their backups. They had the third stringers in there. They've had a really good year. Give them credit. Sean Payton has coached up the team well. The defense has been opportunistic. Bo Nix has played well. But you have rookie quarterback Bo Nix going into Buffalo to take on the Buffalo Bills. You know what? I'm getting my vengeance here. I'm getting my revenge here. Buffalo is laying a smackdown in this game. I know there are going to be a lot of people making the argument, hey, Sean Payton could go in there and keep it close. You don't trust Sean McDermott, yada, yada, yada. I don't think Denver has the talent to go up and down the field with the Bills. I don't see it. I saw him get exposed against the Chargers a few weeks ago. Burrow and the Bengals absolutely smoked their defense. I expect Josh Allen to be ready to go. I expect the Buffalo Bills to be ready to go. This is not their first rodeo in playing a wild card weekend game. Double digits, House. I might be laying some alt spreads in this game. Buffalo, Buffalo, Buffalo. All about that action.
I'm not going to try and talk you out of it right now. My inclination is a bunch of props. I want all of Josh Allen. I'm investing so heavily in the Josh Allen portfolio. Over 1.5 touchdowns. Yes. Anytime touchdown score. Yes. Whatever his rushing prop is. Yes. I'd like all of Josh Allen. Give me all the Josh Allen aspects. And then I'm really focused right now on the over in this game because over the last 6 or 7 games of the season, that Broncos defense that was ranking so high, they just given up 30 points, basically 3 out of the last 5 games, every other week. And Buffalo at home is an over truck. So my inclination is to go over. It's set at 47.5. It's just sitting steady there. Nobody's really jumped in. So I kind of think I like the over, and it fits what I have in mind in terms of all my Josh Allen props. Plus, Bo Nix has been throwing the ball with abandon, and they really have some chemistry that's developed with those Denver wide receivers. That abandon includes a lot of interceptions, so I think we might get a pick 6 out of this game too. I'm going to look at that prop as we go along. But Dream, that's the way I'm sort of sizing this one up.
Me and you are always on the same page because I love the over. And you look at the Broncos, until that week 18 game where the Chiefs didn't play anybody, they played 5 straight overs, dating back to the game against the Las Vegas Raiders. That game went over 29-19. Cleveland Browns 41-32. Indianapolis Colts 31-13. And Anthony Richardson, they gave away 7 points in that game with Jonathan Taylor fumbling at the goal line. Then the Chargers 27-34. And then the Bengals 30-24. And we know the Buffalo Bills are going to be able to score at home. So I love the over in this game. I also like the Buffalo Bills. I think this is an absolute smash spot. First-time quarterbacks versus non-first-time quarterbacks. 18-36 straight up and 18-35-1 against the spread since 2002. So this is just a bad spot for a rookie quarterback to go in and have to deal with the Bills Mafia on the road. I think this is a high-scoring game. I think Josh Allen will not be slowed down here. He's going to show why he is an MVP candidate. And I think this is the Bills in the over. I think this is a smash spot.
I like it. The boys are absolutely aligned in this game. Bills and over, and I think we could take those to the bank. I like parlaying the two of them. I may throw in a 3-leg, Buffalo money line, over, and I think it'll be sitting pretty in my FanDuel account come Sunday night. Okay, Raheem, this next game is tricky from this standpoint. There's a lot of uncertainty about both Jordan Love and Jalen Hurts, who I expect to play, but Jordan Love got knocked out, beat up in the game against the Chicago Bears last week. Jalen Hurts has not played in a few weeks since he got concussed against the Washington Commanders. That, to me, is this great unknown in the matchup. Green Bay has not played great against big teams this year. Philly has been a tremendous, tremendous home team, but how much adversity has Philly faced in a lot of these home games? And we know this about Philly in playoff games. If it goes bad early and Jalen Hurts is a little sluggish maybe after that concussion, there's a little bit of a rust factor, that crowd in Philadelphia that will be rocking and rolling and ready to go, they will turn on that team and they will turn on them very quickly. Where do you stand on this game? Knowing what we know about Love, knowing what we know about Hurts, who's going to play, he was in practice today, he had the helmet on, he's going to be out there. Are we confident? Are we leery? Where do we stand here with the Eagles and the Packers? And I want to make sure the line is exactly where it should be at 4.5 minus 115 for Philadelphia.
So I wanted to play the Eagles, but the problem I'm having is Jalen Hurts is coming back from the concussion. And Jalen Hurts hasn't really played football in almost a month. I mean, you're talking about the last time he's played was against the Washington Commanders on December 22nd. I mean, right now, it's January the 9th. So I just think that's a long time to not play any football. And I think that makes it tough to lay a bet on the Eagles. But I think the Eagles are the superior team. And as you said, JJ, you look at the fact that the Green Bay Packers, they've been bullies. They've been like the Cowboys of last year. They beat all of these teams except for the teams with the winning records. I mean, they lose to the Eagles, they lose to the Vikings, they lose to the Lions twice, the Vikings twice, and then they finally close it out against the Bears, and you lose one of your key weapons in Christian Watson. Now, if I have to make a bet on this game, this is how I'm approaching it. Because when you see quarterbacks come off the concussion protocol and they hadn't played a while, they tend to have a slow start. So I think this is a cousin style special type game. I think you take Green Bay in the first half, and then I think you take Philadelphia to win the game. So I think Green Bay in the first half is like +3 or so. You can do that, or you can do Green Bay Packers to win the first half, Eagles to win the full game.
Oh, I love this. I love when we're getting exotic out here. I'm inclined to just sort of go with Philadelphia, and this might be because I didn't think that Jalen Hurts really got that dinged up from that game and the hit that he took against Washington. I do think that he was sufficiently concussed to be out of that game, but I think the Eagles were being strategic with holding him out over the balance of the other two games. And I think, the version of Jalen Hurts that has been behind this Eagles offense, they don't throw the ball a lot, and they don't need to throw the ball a lot. Now, I do think that they could throw the ball a decent amount against this Green Bay defense. Jair Alexander is out, and we watch the inability of Green Bay to get home in any way, shape, or form, to put any kind of meaningful pressure on Sam Darnold, and Sam Darnold stood in a clean pocket and picked them apart. And that game was not close. I mean, yes, Green Bay mounted their comeback. It's the way that Minnesota has played, teams all season long. And there was, yet an opportunity for Green Bay to make a play on defense and to get the ball back. And they couldn't make that play on defense. So that game ended up, as a 2-point game. But the larger point is what Dream said. They're 0-5 against Detroit, Minnesota, and Philadelphia. When they step up in class, they get beat. And they are not the team. We were looking down the stretch, and I personally was trying to make a connection, a comparison to last year as they came down the stretch with Jordan Love and his weapons healthy. And last year they had Aaron Jones, who was leading the league in rushing. Josh Jacobs looked like he was headed in that direction. But that game against Minnesota, I cannot unsee. And I thought they were both outcoached and outplayed and out-toughed And I think this Philadelphia team is tough. I'm laying the points with Philadelphia, fellas.
Yeah, I really wanted to bet Green Bay in this game. I really did, because I'm like dealing with the PTSD of last year, what they did to the Dallas Cowboys. They obviously have postseason experience. I don't love the way they finished the year, House. To your point, I'm going to be on Philadelphia in this game as well. And I know this about the Green Bay Packers secondary. It can be moved on. And maybe there is a little bit of a rush factor for Jalen Hurts early. But by the time you hit the end of this game, Devontae Smith and A.J. Brown are going to be able to have their way with those corners. And I don't think Green Bay is 100% right to go into this environment and to be ready to go. I really wanted to be on the Packers. I wanted to buy, hey, maybe it's a slow start. Not getting cute here. I'm laying a 4.5. I'm taking the Eagles.
My gut feel is that this game is going to be the exact same game we saw in week 1 in Brazil.
Wow.
Yeah, if you go back to that game.
So shootout. You think a shootout?
No, not necessarily a shootout, but if you go back to that game, the Eagles had multiple first half turnovers. And the Packers only went up 6-0 because the Eagles defense kept them in that game. And in the second half, the Eagles, they could not be stopped. They did whatever they wanted. So I think this is going to be that exact same game. And I think the Eagles are going to win, but I think they're going to start slow.
House, I can't wait for your game. I think it's going to be a ton of fun. Jane Daniels has been amazing. Baker Mayfield has major chutzpah. The Bucs were in the playoffs last year. And I know you can go with an emotional hedge or you can ride with your heart. You're not going to like what I have to say, House. I'm taking Tampa. I can't go against Baker Mayfield here. I can't go against the experience of the Buccaneers. To me, Tampa Bay is profiled as one of the best offenses in the NFL all season long. And a lot of trends. I know C.J. Stroud won a playoff game last year, fellas. That rookie quarterback making his first start in the postseason. History tells us they usually don't win. House, you should like this, though, because we've been fading the commies all year, and they keep proving us wrong. I think Tampa Bay wins this game, and they cover the 3. I'm on it.
Yeah, I'm not going to try and talk you out of it. Washington had the easiest schedule of all of the playoff teams, outdoor road games. They were, 2-3 straight up. Their run defense is 30th. Like, you can't go into these numbers and say, oh, here's the case for Washington. The one thing I will play, and I am going to support my boy, Jaden Daniels. We got him on his rushing prop, whatever the number is between 46.5, 48.5. He'll be able to run against this Buccaneers defense. But on balance, this Buccaneers team is a different class in Washington. I love my team, believe me, and all of the ways that they found to win. And Marcus Mariota last week against the Cowboys, that was magnificent. But this Tampa Bay team is a different deal. They made the divisional round last year by going on the road and handling the Philadelphia. Oh, no, they were home, but it doesn't matter. Either way, I like Tampa. I think they're superior.
The emotional hedge. There it is.
I'm not betting it. I'm not betting it.
I know you're not going to bet it.
I'm just playing. I'm just playing my guy Jaden Daniels. That's all. Only my guy Jaden Daniels. I understand the case for Tampa though.
Okay, so once again, me and House are on the same page with the Jaden Daniels props. I love his rushing prop over. And if you look at what he's done earlier this year against the Tampa Bay Buccaneers, if I pull it up right now, against the Tampa Bay Buccaneers, this guy ran 16 times for 88 yards. And if you remove last week's game against the Cowboys, where he only played a half, he had 127 rushing yards against the Atlanta Falcons. He had 81 rushing yards against the Philadelphia Eagles, 66 rushing yards against the Saints. And his prop is only like 45, 46.5. And House played the Josh Allen rushing prop. And if you look at the NFL postseason, when you have these running quarterbacks, all caution goes to the wind. They're not saving anything for later. And I don't expect Jaden Daniels to do that as well. So I really love his rushing prop over. Now, there's another prop that I like. And, I really don't want to spend too much time handicapping this game because I just think the props in this game are just absolutely incredible. If you look at the first game between the Tampa Bay Buccaneers and the Washington Commanders, who dominated that game? Chris Godwin. Well, Chris Godwin isn't there anymore. And Jalen McMillan has become the new Chris Godwin. He's the guy who catches all the receptions in the slot. Last week against the New Orleans Saints, 5 receptions, 74 yards. Before that, 5 receptions, 51 yards. He's going over his prop pretty much every single week. So you can get him right now on FanDuel Sportsbook at 52.5. I think he's probably going to go over this by probably halftime, because I think, Mike Evans is the guy that everybody's focusing attention on. So Jalen McMillan is going to be able to eat. So I like those two props. As far as this game, this also fits the first-time rookie quarterback against a non-first-time quarterback. But there's something electric about Jayden Daniels, and I do not want to bet against him. I think
you're laying off of it. Fair enough. Last one. Guys, this is my favorite game of the weekend. I love the Los Angeles Rams. The market, Raheem, is moving with me. I grabbed 2.5. It's now down to 1.5. I know the Vikings have been a better team. You're giving me a quarterback I trust more, a Super Bowl winning head coach, and a team that already beat Minnesota earlier in the year. I think Sam Darnold is going to be seeing those ghosts again, Raheem, like he saw in Week 18. Give me the Rams outright. I'll keep it as short and sweet. Boom.
This also fits that first-time quarterback trend. But, this one is tough for me just because right now we don't even know where this game is going to be played. Obviously, you have the tragedy out there in Los Angeles with the wildfires, and the NFL is monitoring the situation. So I think, that venue change it's very important. And obviously,
could be it's inside though. That does help though, Raheem, right? The fact that it's inside, it's got to help.
Isn't it like an open roof though in SoFi?
That's a good question.
Yeah, it's not impermeable. It's not like a perfect enclosed situation. I think there is some air that comes through.
Okay, so that could change things. All right, fair enough, guys.
Yeah, I know the NFL was talking about actually moving the game to Phoenix or Las Vegas. And, with all the things going down, you don't know if that's a little bit of a distraction for anybody. I know the last time we saw a game move was the Kansas City Chiefs. They played the Los Angeles Rams back in 2018. They moved that game. So before I actually place a bet on this game, I want to monitor that. But I think I understand your thought process on betting this game. You got a Super Bowl winning quarterback. You got the pedigree of them versus Sam Darnold. But I don't know. This is a tough game for me.
I feel the same way. I do feel it's tough. And JJ, we had a nice argument about the coaching pedigree earlier this week. I'm not so sure that Sean McVay and Kevin O'Connell, that to me, it's a wash. But I do think that there is something instructive about the way that the Rams took care of Matt Stafford in that earlier game. And this offense, if indeed McVay's gamble of taking the week 18 and letting his guys get that collective rest, I do think that might translate into something. I'm looking at the Rams money line. It's plus 100. Even money on the money line. I'm not going to mess around. Why mess around at the point? You guys are minus 115. Just play them to win outright. I understand the perspective there, and I'm leaning. I'm not through my research yet on this one. I have to break it down a bit more. But what happened earlier this season is definitely sticky to my way of thinking.